these are people who work with UNRWA. I'll let them explain what UNRWA stands for your viewers. And I'm always interested in what prompts a person who possibly could be doing any number of other things in safer, more pleasant environments to commit themselves to helping people who are under dire circumstances and sometimes run substantial personal risk, both from career and of life, to do so. And I think it's worth hearing. Let's meet these people.
Let's meet the UNRWA team.
I'm Panos Rumsilis. I work with the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency in Syria. I've been working on a refugee humanitarian program for the last 20 years or so. I've been to several big crises from Rwanda, Somalia, Bosnia, and now I'm working in Syria. This is the one field I absolutely feel passionate about. Love the work of helping, supporting refugees, people who live in a desperate situation, and I wouldn't do anything else. I got into it because I guess when I finished school I was interested in human rights, and then got into that field, and I found it very rewarding, very humbling, and very fascinating experience.
I'm Richard Cook. I'm Director of UNRWA Operations in Jordan. I joined UNRWA 24 years ago in headquarters in Vienna. I'm a construction professional by my original career, and I joined UNRWA on its construction program. In my private career in the Middle East and also Pakistan, Asia, I worked mainly on hotels, palaces, and housing projects. But working with UNRWA gives me a great deal of satisfaction. I have used my construction background to help people, and that really has given me far more satisfaction than building hotels, palaces, etc. I've worked in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, and now Jordan. So that's mine.
Well, my name is Michael Kingsley Nina. I'm from Ghana, and my present role is Chief of Staff to Karen Nabase, the Commission General of UNRWA. I originally got attracted to refugee law at a time when I was studying in the United States. It was a point in my life, which I'm sure many people have experienced, when you are very homesick but do not have enough money to go home to see your family. It cost quite a lot to fly from Massachusetts to Ghana in those days. But then I edited a series of human rights journals. It was part of the work we did, and I got fascinated by the idea that international law protects people who have lost their home. At a time when I was homesick and immutably felt very connected to the idea of losing the essence of home, which is all the comfort, the connection, the sense of kinship. And I thought, well, that's an extraordinary use of the law to help people in need. So I got attracted to refugee law. I found out an internship in UNHCR and thought, why don't I try to get closer to this and understand it better? And the rest is history, as they say.
Well, everybody seems to have had a plan when they started. I didn't. But I'm Italian, and that explains. So I actually wanted to travel and live abroad. That was very clear. And but I got a degree and then got a job with a publisher in Italy, and then a friend of mine, an American friend of mine who lived in Italy, got a job with Catholic Relief Services in Thailand, and then came back to Italy for holidays, and I told him, do you have a job for me? I was 25, 26, and he said, yeah, sure, if you come next week I'll give you a job as a volunteer. I went after a month, and here I am. But
why did you stay?
I loved the job. I worked as a volunteer for $10 a day for a year in a refugee camp in Thailand.
Doing what?
I was doing everything. I started as an admin assistant. I did not even know what that meant and then I became the deputy head of this program in a small town, and then I did other things. Then I moved to the UN after a couple of years, and with UNHCR. I'm also, like many people around this table, from UNHCR, and spent 16 years with UNHCR in many different emergency. I worked.
Tell us some of the places you went. What is UNHCR, first of all?
UNHCR is the UN High Commissioner for Refugees.
And where are some of the places
My
you worked?
first job was in Sudan with Karen. I worked 3 times with Karen, in Sudan, in Geneva, and here. And I was then for many years I was an emergency officer. So I was in Iraq, in Iraq actually, in Baghdad for more than a year. I was very much involved with the Great Lakes, with the Rwanda emergency in Congo, and for quite some time, for quite some years. I worked in Afghanistan for 4 years. In Afghanistan, I moved out of UNHCR. I went into the political branch of the UN. I was the deputy representative of the Secretary General there. I did 2 elections, disarmament, human rights, and then I came here after that as Deputy Commissioner General.
I'm Karen Abuzade. I'm from Ohio. So it's always interesting to be a small town girl from Ohio and ended up where I ended up.
Right.
But I blame that on having gone to study Islamic studies in McGill in Montreal, and met a Sudanese that I married. And our first jobs, however, were in Uganda, where we taught at Makerere. He taught us Islamic studies and I taught Middle East politics. And then he was called back to Sudan to help start the University of Juba when we were trying to bring North and South Sudan together. So we went back to Juba. I taught politics and he was the Secretary General and then the Vice Chancellor. And then I was spending a summer in Khartoum, away from the University of Juba in southern Sudan. And UNHCR needed some help sending refugees, Ethiopian refugees, to Cairo, to the American University. So they needed help. I went in to help them, and again, like Panos said, we got caught, into this refugee business, and you can't get away from it then. It just becomes your life. So I worked for UNHCR for many years in Sudan, and then I moved to Namibia, and then to Sierra Leone. Just one emergency and one refugee situation after another, in and out of Geneva for Kenyan and Somali refugees, for South African refugees, Sarajevo during the war, and then again Geneva. And then I went to Washington and for 2 years with Panos. He was my public information officer there, and that was a wonderful job. I was being regional representative for all the Caribbean islands as well as the United States. So, you had to go and become assigned and get your credentials at each of the Caribbean islands. So that was a tough part of the job. The other part was dealing with asylum seekers in the United States. So they weren't always nicely treated at that time. So. And that's where I was asked to come to Gaza with UNRWA, because it was the time of Camp David, and they thought it would be good to have someone from UNHCR who could help with all these solutions.
This is 79?
No, 99.
99,
2000
sorry.
I came, yeah. And it was we thought there would be repatriation, resettlement, there would be integration, whatever. And then, of course, the Intifada broke out, and I started as the Deputy Commissioner General for 5 years, and now for the last 3.5 years I've been the Commissioner General.
And how do you feel about your work?
How do I feel? I'm here after 9 years. I think you must know that we really feel good about the work. It's, as I think others have said, there's just a reward to it, to working with people who need you, and you can make a difference with them, because especially when you're in the field with them, not so much when you're far away in headquarters and so on. But we get this wonderful opportunity to be among the people that we're serving.
Now, if you were talking to a 21-year-old kid getting ready to get out of college who said, I want a career where I can make a difference and be of service to people, what would you tell him?
I'd tell him to probably get some experience, first at home maybe, and then maybe with an NGO perhaps, and then come on into the UN, because we do have wonderful opportunities, and it's a great organization and you can make a difference.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.